Okay, so we've talked about the Janus decision and the connection to the Right to Work Foundation. We've talked about Ronald Reagan and his connection with SAG. Let's talk about something. Remember I told you about the Glass-Steagall Act in 1932? This was a regulation to keep banks and everybody in check. Well, let's cut to 1999. Clinton was the president, it was a Republican Congress, and the Glass-Steagall Act was repealed. 1999. It took exactly 8 years, 2007, 2008, for the economy to completely melt down. Why? Because there's no regulations. Because of greed. Okay? Reagan introduced us to trickle-down economics. The only thing that trickles down in economics is the greed. When they repealed the Glass-Steagall Act, it took away the regulations from Wall Street. Wall Street then did what? Guess what? They bought investment firms. They bought insurance firms. They concocted mortgages and backdoor bonds and everything. Nothing had any value, and we went in the tank. Okay, that's what happens when there's no regulation. Glass-Steagall Act is still repealed. It's not in effect. We are going to have another economic crash. The reason I tell you this is because our pension is directly tied to economics. Our pension is invested heavily in the S&P 500, in the stock exchange in general. And every time there's a financial crisis, we take the hit. Not we unions, we middle class America. We, the working class people of this country, take the hit in financial crises. So that's very, very important right there. So again, this is the only time we'll talk politics in this part. I'm not going to tell you how to vote because in your private life, there are way more issues that involve your personal decisions and how you live your life than being in a union, okay? I'm just laying out how everything went down, who was involved, all right? And the feds have been involved since 1935 heavily, and they're going to be involved in whatever happens. So that's why when people post things on Facebook, it automatically turns into a finger-pointing contest, all right? We have to get beyond that. We have to stop blaming. They're all guilty. Democrats, Republicans, big business is who the enemy is. That's who dictates, who has the money to buy the lobbyists, who has the money to buy senators or whoever, and what happens politically is all generated or motivated from big business and cash. That's our enemy. We're not the enemy of each other. I stated in one of the earlier videos, we have to get rid of the me thinking and adopt the we thinking, because that's the only way we can change things is if we're working together to get this done. The last thing we'll talk about is how that affects union power. Our democracy is based on a mixed-use economy. It's part capitalism, part socialism. When the capitalism, socialism has never been much stronger than capitalism. But capitalism has been much stronger than socialism. And these lines here, this is big business and their power. And this is labor, no power. 1935, labor gets its power. We go here in 1980, we start to lose power. That's when unionism goes down. This area right here, I'm going to circle it in green, is the most prosperous time in American history, by far, bar none. Industrial age was great, but from 45 to the mid-60s, early 70s was the greatest economic development in any country in the history of the world. But in the United States, because the power lines were equal. This is business, this is capitalism, and socialism, if that's how you want to look at it. But it's business and labor. Anytime there's a huge disparity of power, we suffer, as we're doing now. Right now, you hear a lot of talk about wage disparity or wealth disparity, the one percenters. It's the only time that this has been greater than it is right now, the wage disparity or the wealth disparity, was during the Great Depression. That's the only time it's ever been greater than it is now. And that was the cause of the Great Depression, the cause of the haves taking the money from the have-nots and not giving them anything. Remember the run on banks, there was no money to be had. So, historically speaking, this is all vital information. What is, in my opinion, what is going to happen is you will see unionism and union membership start to go up. We're at a point in time in our history where things, it's time for the cycle to cycle up. And we're at a point in time, and our history is vital. It's very important, where the wage disparity and the wealth disparity is a big, big deal. I want to thank you for coming here and taking the time. I thank you on behalf of myself and the Clean Slate. Have a wonderful day.